We want to make sure that the things that we're doing are right now enough for our guys to have success. I mean, are we asking them too much, too early, too soon? I mean, in all honesty, no preseason games, okay? No OTAs and mini camp. You know, are we getting too far ahead of ourselves sometimes? You know what I mean? I mean, you know, you somebody asked me the question the other day, how long is it going to take us to get the entire offense in? I said, you know, we probably won't get everything in until next year. You know, and it's kind of the same thing on defense. Are we getting complicated? Are we asking too much of our guys already? And that's what we have to be careful of. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves thinking, oh, we got this. Hey, we can put this in now. So are we, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we got to look at us too. A couple issues. We had really good matchups. We had running backs on linebackers. We had tight ends on safeties, and we missed those throws. That's what you're looking for when you get those types of opportunities, be able to lay that ball right over the top of the shoulder, you know, to create those big plays. And we missed a couple of those. Now, he made some really good ones, some really good decisions. He threw a couple of nice ones. He hit Steven Sims over the shoulder on a nice route up on the sideline. You know, so those are the things you're looking for. You're looking for more of those, though.
Tara, did you know Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies?
Wow, okay.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? Idina Menzel to sing your own theme song?
Tara, Tara, look at her go with a fresh cup of joe, getting down to work early, following her dreams into taxidermy.
It's tax attorney.
I read that wrong, oh yeah!
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. You heard the coach. Are we giving the young kids too much? Are we making our quarterback pay? Are you paying him? He got to play. You ain't not giving him too much. But you know what? I don't like that. But let's see what the gang think about it. You heard who the gang is. Gary Clark, you know he want to come in quick today because a wide receiver is our player of the week. Milk Hardy. Milton is back with us again. And I keep calling him Hardaway. But it's not. He can't make baskets. And then you got Donna Hopkins. Throw everybody under the bus but her sources. And she need to start with them. Are they putting too much on these young people? Come on. Who wanted to answer first?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, that's ridiculous. I mean, everybody has young players playing. A lot of times those young players become the superstars of the team. So that's really not an excuse. I mean, Joe Theismann, when he was a rookie, was still Joe Theismann. You know, Tony McGee, when he was a rookie, he was still Tony McGee playing great. And when he switched team and came somewhere else, he still played great. So changing teams to me, it doesn't make a difference. You know, when you become your professional football player, you put a game plan together that you can execute. We've been playing football since we're 4 or 5 years old. Come on now.
But I don't think he was talking about, is he putting too much on them in that concept as you're talking about? He's talking about as far as the offensive scheme that they put in, they've got certain players, certain plays that the players are used to at this point, but because they didn't have a training camp, they didn't have a chance to put in all the things. That comes a little later, so they want to perfect this area. So I don't think he meant it, okay, we're putting too much on them. Even as coaching, they want to kind of like throw the whole book at them, the whole playbook, but they can't throw them the whole playbook at them right now. And I think that's more what he was talking about. But Tony, I also want to just say that Brian Scherf, we're on our hands and knees probably saying, is he going to be gone? But the good news is that he's only going to be gone for 2 weeks. So that's good news pertaining to the offensive line.
That's not the same injury he had last year, is it?
No.
It was a different one, but it was the right knee.
Well, you know what, Donna, just to add to your comments, putting too much on them to young people, no training camp. I ask you again, are they getting full checks now?
But Tony, you know, Tony,
that's not my question. Are they getting paid right now?
They're getting checks, but you well know that it takes a time to put the scheme together. Players, a young team also. So come on, Tony.
Oh, boy, she's staring and studying. I'm like Judge Judy. I'm like Judge Judy. I just want a yes or a no. Michael, give me a yes or no, Mike.
Well, I'm sorry. Here's what I want to say. I want to go to the coach's chalkboard. And 2 quotes that Donna heard. She heard the press conference that it hasn't caused ire, but it's caused a little disappointment in fans. And that is the quote that basically he didn't want to put too much on the players, as Donna said. But he thought that not going for 6, instead kicking the field goal when you're behind, was somewhat of a moral victory. And he wanted his players to have that. And then also when he had 1:46 left and he was down by 15, he let the clock run out and he went into the locker room at the end of the game with 3 timeouts. And he said his other quote about that was that he was thinking about the health of the players and didn't want anybody to get hurt. And now I'm going to ask one question of everybody. Do you think if those stands were full of fans right now that he'd be able to pull this off? Or do you think he'd have to put the best foot forward that he could and push those players? Because there are no fans paying dollars. He's getting his TV dollars either way.
No, Mike.
I don't think it's going to matter with this coach. I think he has said from the start, they were giving him the opportunity to turn this whole thing around, not just part of it. And let's keep in mind, this area, there's been a famine for winning in this area for decades. And so we got a little sip when we played the Eagles. We got a little sip of what that could be like. And then I was one of them because I want the record to show I am a homer, but I also I'm able to be a wise homer and give this man a chance to build this team. I don't think it's a youth issue. I think right now this is Dwayne's first training camp, not even first season playing, just his training camp. And I think you got to give him a chance.
Well, first and foremost, guys, let me just put it on the record. Let me put it straight. As a rookie, you get your whole playbook thrown at you right away.
Right
away as a rookie. So for you to perform as a rookie, a starting rookie, and put up numbers, that's because you did your homework. They threw you the whole playbook. You learned the whole playbook, and the schemes are there no matter what. And to say that you always try to win, you always try to make the play. The game is not over until the game is over. Football, injuries happen. It's just what it's going to be. So to try to say you're trying to make sure that somebody doesn't get hurt, I'm not sure I quite understand that, especially coming from him because he is a former NFL player. I can understand that coming from a coach who never played in the NFL. But at the end of the day, we were programmed to go out there and try to win until the game is over. And if we don't win, we should be thoroughly pissed off about it. There should be no excuses made, like no excuses made for losing. I don't get it. I will never get that, especially from a former NFL player.
I don't know if it's an excuse as much, G. Just like you said, you always play to win, but this is a whole different situation here. Now, this is where the lack of training camp comes involved, and you can look around the league right now.
I don't agree with that.
Oh, you got to look at it, man. There's so many injuries now. It's so many injuries, and I'm talking about the frontline players.
Tony, we don't have a team of 11 players. We have a team of players. So at the end of the day, perfect example, if somebody goes down, one of the best players in Redskins history went down. Art Monk goes down. Ricky Sanders comes in and we do not miss a beat.
Yeah.
We do not.
I understand what you're
Lord,
saying.
the veteran
So
team.
at the end of the day, my players, every player that I have on my team should be a player that I've selected that can start and come in and not allow us to miss a beat. Period.
There within lies the problem.
Well, you know what, Tony? Donna
Gotta
said,
be able to play. And
Donna
right
said
now,
early
some
on.
of them aren't ready to play. So,
listen,
but at the same time, I'm not putting down the situation when you get 368 yards of offense, and the offensive line is not playing that great right now, and you do have injury, but you know what? Everyone has them. Everyone did not have training camp, and you still have guys putting up numbers. Our last two MVPs is 1 and 2 year players that came out, and they're still playing the same now. So what I'm saying is it's time for this team to take the position is we're one of the best teams in the league, and we're going to play like it no matter who's on the field. And it's not about time, it's about now.
But Tony, one thing about it is they can't afford to turn over the ball like they did on Sunday. And I mean, they started off with the second week in a row slow on both the offense and the defensive side of the ball. But when you turn over the ball that much, and the defense did give them a gift, and they turned over the ball, the offense did. If you turn on the ball when you got opportunity to score, that's going to hurt you. But I'm going to go to Coach Rivera again, and he talks about, Tony, just what we were talking about is turnover is hurting this team also.
This is a great learning experience because, again, we played two teams today. We played them and ourselves. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. We hurt ourselves in that first half, and you can go back and look at it. You know, we get into third and long situations, we give up big plays. We take the ball away, we give it right back. We force a punt, we fumble the football. And we can't do those things. You know, we're not experienced enough to do it. We're a good football team, but we're not experienced enough to overcome helping the other team beat you. You know, and that's part of it. I told the players that today. I said, hey, at the end of the day, guys, you know, it's tough enough trying to beat somebody, but when you help them, that's even tougher. Again, you know, we turned the ball over to, you know, in a situation where, you know, we got the ball in the red zone. I mean, Colin makes a great interception, puts us in position. We get the ball, you know, in the red zone, have a chance, and then we turn it over. I mean, it was something very simple, something very basic. I mean, I got to take a look at the tape to see exactly what happened with the pass rush.
You know, once we started figuring out that we can move the ball and we can, you know, change the line of scrimmage and, you know, run hard and they can't tackle us, and eventually we started running the ball better. But we just had to try to find a way to get to that concept or that mentality earlier.
Can I talk about Haskins' huddle real quick, Tony, if you don't mind, because this has not been mentioned. But if you take a look at Haskins' huddle, and we talked about this before the beginning of the show, 19 of 33, 1 touchdown. Now, you've got to give the young man credit. He has not thrown an interception this season. But 5
You just jinxed it, Mike. You just made sure he will throw one next game. Mike, you didn't even have to bring that up.
I know. 5 punts in the first half. Take a look at that graphic. 5 punts in the first half. And I really felt, and watching some of these scrambling quarterbacks, and I know Haskins is not a scrambling quarterback, that I really felt he could have used his legs a little more in that game. There were a couple of times when he was sitting in that pocket and he was sacked. He knew the pressure was great. There were some avenues to run, and I think he only ran one time, but Donna probably kept track of that better than I. But I just felt, in looking at that, 5 punts in the first half, that's not an offense.
Well, Milton, do you think he had to run because the running backs weren't running enough? Like Donna Hopkins said, they had the great running backs and they could run. One ran for 53 yards and they ran for 117 yards together. And we had one guy that ran for that by himself.
Tony, in my pre-production notes, I wrote this down about Antonio Gibson. That man's got a lot of wiggle with him. He is going to be a producer. Yeah. Give him a few games. Okay. He got some sweet feet about him. And he was what we were doing last year when we weren't even getting out of the backfield. He was making 1 or 2 people miss even 1 or 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. So he's got some promise. Run game is going to be slower. Listen, let's get to what the real deal is. And Donna said a little while ago, can we expect Sheriff back soon? Well, he looked like he was absent on Sunday. And so what I'm saying is, I'm hoping somebody will step, like G said.
Hey Milton, don't just blame Sheriff. That whole
No. I'm saying no. They got problems across the line. But what I'm saying is, somebody ought to step up and take that man's job. There ought to be some horses in the stable that you can plug and play and be ready to roll. Think about the years, and people may forget this. Coach Gibbs was 0-5 when he started out. But he turned it around with scheme as well as players. He got players that could do the things that he was trying to do, and those players, even 2 and 3 people deep, could come on and contribute. They may not be the stars.
He gave the ball to Riggins is what he did.
Huh?
He gave the ball to Riggins.
Well, yeah, I mean, because he didn't start out giving it to Riggins, but his wisdom. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
We 2 games into the season. Give them a chance.
Yes. Donna, whoa. Donna said give him a chance?
No, I'm just saying that you're saying
you know what?
2 games.
After that, we got to take a break right here. Take a few minutes and make some money. That's what the break say. And when Donna says something like that, it's time out. We'll be back in a minute.
Gene, did you know Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies?
That's great.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? John Stamos to knit you a scarf?
I'll finish, Gene. Enjoy.
Thank you.
I give.
The stitch work is impeccable.
That's just a double fleck pattern with a reverse garter stitch. No big deal.
Is your hair this soft?
Softer.
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
You know, when I was listening to the coach and he was talking about offense and he was talking about players and situations and everything, and did we put too much on? Did we put too little on? This is not the time for that. And you don't give up a game, even at the end of the game. Yes, you do not want people hurt, but at the same time, you want them to have another play to get better. And I tell you what, right now in this league is to win right now league. It's not waiting till later. Young players have to come through. I mean, Donna, Milt, Mike, Gary, somebody tell me. My ears, I can't hear. Is it you or is it me?
Tony, I want to jump right in on this one because I'm reminded of what Donna told me in the last segment. Sheriff went out about 50 seconds left in the first half. You know when the run game picked up on his side?
Wes Schweitzer.
In the second half.
Yeah.
They were running almost at will. And I'm not hating him. I'm just saying at that level of contract.
I just came back because I knew Milton didn't know what he was talking about, Tony.
No, but he's right though, Donna.
The thing about it is they picked up in the second half because they were running the ball.
On the right side.
Where were they running the ball?
On the right side.
On the right side.
With Wes Schweitzer from the Falcons, Tony. Tony made a call to the Falcons and got Wes Schweitzer in here, didn't you, in the offseason in March?
Yeah, but let me tell you this. They were running the ball. They were running the ball not certainly to a side as much as they were running to a team that was way ahead. A team that just wanted to get the game over.
No, that's
now,
true.
hey, I'm going to just keep it real. You know, we've been doing this too long. And I'm going to tell you, maybe they did run better in the second half, but I don't know about you, but when we were about 15 or 20 ahead, I'm chilling. I'm gonna go out there if they need me. I'm trying to get over. I'm every block I'm holding down. Don't get hit here. I get out. So you know what? Yeah, they ran better, but we needed them to run better the first half Sunday.
Thank you, Terry.
Not the second half.
Also,
and you can tell me about these guys got good feet. I need somebody to break something off. Like we had a big guy used to do that.
Right. Because when you're behind and you're coming back, you're typically going to throw the ball to come back because so for defense, you're waiting for the pass. So you're gonna let me get my yards because it's eating up time off the clock.
Thank you.
That I'm running the ball because it's taking time off the clock.
Yeah, I understand why I'm on this show. So let me add this to this narrative here.
Oh, no.
All right, Antonio Gibson was drafted. He was drafted in a dual role. He can play wide receiver and running back.
You're not throwing
He
to him.
has his ultimate is wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He is learning how to be a NFL pro football back now. He's learning. These are his learning reps now. And he still has wiggles even though he's just learning. When he figures out what to do, that boy's going to be dangerous. Oh, and one other point, I'm a little upset. Upset's a strong word. I would like to see the usage of the running backs, because if they're not blocking, put them in the passing game and throw some screens, get you, because that's why he was brought in here.
Exactly.
McKissick the same ways.
I know they couldn't run. They couldn't do that on Sunday because the thing about it is they were using the backs basically for blocking. Now I know that you probably don't understand.
You said that before, Donna.
But they had to have more people in blocking because the offense up front wasn't doing the job. But I want to go to the passing game because Gary's always talking about the passing game, the passing game. Terry is the only one that is making the plays in that passing game because Logan Thompson, him and Haskins weren't connecting, and then Sims really hasn't gotten in the groove. They've got to have someone else besides Terry step up and make plays in the passing game. And I know, Gary, you can be talking about passing, but it ain't happening.
In the groove, you just have to give him the ball more. Because quite honestly,
they threw the ball.
Sims' average per catch is probably higher than Terry's average per catch.
Yeah.
Whenever they do find that extra,
Sims going to pick up 15 plus no matter what. He's going to get you 15 to 18 yards on his catch.
But Terry is making plays to get open. The other people are going to have to do that also. They were throwing the ball to him.
So how many drops did Sims have?
Sims had made some. Sims didn't get open enough.
How many drops did he have?
Oh, we got a battle going here, Mike.
He's not getting open enough to catch the ball.
How many drops did he have, Donna?
I like Sims, but Terry has been the playmaker the last 2 games for the season. The other guys got to be involved in the offense.
The first game, Terry had 6 or 7 catches. He had 6 catches the first game. Sims had 3. He had 7 or 8 catches this game. Sims has 3. But I can only catch the ball when you throw me the rock.
But the ball is being thrown.
All right, wait a minute. I'm gonna tell y'all like Lone Ranger used to tell his horse, "Easy, big fella. Give me a moment.
What about your defense?
Give me a second. Now, Mike, tell me a little bit of what you think about that. I know we have, and I kind of agree with both of them in a way because they do need somebody else. And yes, Terry's making the play, but Donna, you act like Terry's out there by himself.
I think
he's making plays, but no, he's not out there by himself. But at the same time, Mike, what do you think about them getting enough? I know we're not doing defense yet, but we got to get this point across. And them two right there, they're on opposite sides of this. So give me your point.
Well, you know what's really interesting as you bring up the receivers, the receiving core, and the need for another maybe 1 or 2, maybe a 2, a bona fide 2, although I think Sims is a 2. He's more of a slot receiver. But anyway, they brought in 5 receivers this week, Tony. They tried them all out, didn't sign one. So they know what their need is.
Did they bring in Gary Clark?
Yeah, I would sign Gary tomorrow, but there's not a dearth of wide receivers out there.
I would too.
So they are looking, but I like what Milt was saying, and that is take him out of the running back position and put him as a wide receiver, as a wide out. And you've got why aren't we playing Bryce Love? What's going on with that, Donna?
Use him at his skill level is what I'm saying. That's what he did in college.
I know.
And He got some nice footage, but it's in college. We
And
need him to have some.
he's 4.3 speed. Move him out to the outside along with Terry, and let's get Bryce Love in there.
You guys you gotta remember, he only had 19 completions.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
19 completions.
Yeah,
so
that's
come
true.
on, guys.
Yeah,
Terry has
enough to
7
go
of them.
around.
That's a
Jeff
good
had
point.
3 of them.
Hey,
You're right. That's 10 of the 19 right there.
19
G,
for
educate us for
33.
a little bit on this, G.
And you know,
You say-
I'm just saying, I mean, before we got the posse in, at the end of the day, Art Monk got the majority of the catches. It's just what it was. It's
Yeah.
one receiver guy.
Gary, answer me this
You've got
question.
other guys that can come in, and to a point, till we all become where we had about the same amount of catches.
Yeah.
You know what? You got to think about the whole situation. That they're trying to find themselves too. New coach, a lot of new players, a lot of new situations. The only position that really has some old vets on it is some parts of the offensive line, some parts of the defensive line. Even though they've been there, they still young players. So this whole team is really kind of young. So we do give them that, but at the same time, this is a young league now. You come in here, and the reason you get in is because you can perform. So you get in here and perform right away. And whoever they got on the bench, now I have to agree with that, they need to come up and step up. But at the same time, it's just not them. We got running backs that need to step up. We got defensive linemen that need to step up. We got defensive backs. We got coaches that need to step up.
You cannot put it on the youth. You cannot put it on how young a player is before they play great. That's just not true. Perfect example. When people forget with the Hogs came in, there was a certain group of Hogs. When people forget, all of a sudden Riley McKenzie come in, starts as a rookie.
Yeah. Can I talk about
our transition is such that I'm sorry, that does not matter. The young boy came in, that our rookie first round pick came in and balled 2 weeks ago.
I wanted
to 2 weeks ago, but he's a rookie. He's not supposed to because he's young. That's a horrible excuse because the team is young.
All right. Let's move on to the next one, Mike. What you want to hear?
I wanted to bring up defense for you all because everybody was talking about that defensive front. And this week, if you take a look at the wall, 1 sack from Chase Young on those front 4. 1 sack.
Mike, is Chase Young a rookie?
He is.
New guy. My bad.
Hello.
He's got
That's a horrible example, though.
I think what you have to realize, Mikey, you have to wonder, was it a wall or was it a facade? But you know what? I'm not going to get on them. That defense has been playing pretty well. But when you give up 438 yards, I got to go with Downing at that. You can't give up that kind of yardage and win. You see that around the league. And this is a throwing league now, a scoring league. So your defense have to step up. So I get on them when they do wrong. I give them praise when they do right. You don't give up 438 yards. Everybody's at blame. They did get 4 sacks, but obviously they weren't meaningful.
But Tony, let's go to the coach and see what he had to say about the defense.
I think you got to give credit to the young man. He's a heck of a football player. And when you're not stopping any phase of their game, they get an opportunity to do what they want. If you're not stopping their run game, they can throw the ball. If they're throwing the ball well and you're not stopping it, they can run it. So, we never really put ourselves in position. The only time we did that was we got them into 2nd and 3rd and long. When you have success, you've got to sustain it. You get them into a 2nd and long situation, you can't allow it to be 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Now all of a sudden he has more.
They did a great job. They did a great job in what they did. I'll start with with myself. It starts with the I. I myself have to be a little bit more disciplined on certain plays. And their team, there's a lot of dressing, things going back and forth. So I know that I have to be more disciplined and we will all be better.
That young man can say what he wants. He was in on 15 assisted tackles and 10 unassisted tackles.
He played for the Seahawks, the Chiefs, the Jets, and the Bears before coming to us. That was a great find. I don't know how you all feel, but he's a great
player. But this disturbs me about what he said. Because it's one of those areas that this whole team has to be cognizant of. He says, I've got to be a little more disciplined in the scheme. And I don't know how you go against a quarterback like Murray and not be thinking discipline consistently across the board.
Know what he's talking about. Tony, take us out. Look, I know what he's talking about.
I'm trying to look.
You know what, Milt?
Gary, I'm trying to point out some very important aspects of this.
Before we take this break,
listen.
Just tell you this, Milt. I like what he said because he's holding himself accountable.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I like what he said.
See, for all of you fans, let us tell you a little bit about Milton Harden.
Oh, here we go.
You threw him under the bus, Tony.
Hey.
Former chaplain for the Washington football team, bleed burgundy right now if you cut him. Can't see, he's blind if it ain't for Washington. You can't see past the line of scrimmage if it's not Washington. So please bear with him.
All righty.
But you know, you take a look, and all joking aside, that's the first time in a long time I've heard one of their players be accountable for his mistakes.
Yes.
And that's what each and every one have to do. Look at that man in the mirror if you want to get better. Now, Mike, I know we need a break right now. We kind of jumped off script. You have anything you want to say before I take him out?
Well, the only thing I would say is if that's unplanned and he got 15 assist and tackles, 10 solo tackles, I want more of that.
Being undisciplined, he got 15.
I want some more undisciplined. That's what I want.
Hey, Milt, we're not listening to you.
I'll take one for the team. But Gary, wait till I get Gary.
That's just the leader. That's just
wait till I come.
Himself to take blame, even though he knew there was no blame to be taken on his head. But that's a true leader. You put myself first. That way, he takes care of his boy.
Exactly.
I give him kudos for that.
Wait, before we get out of here, how did the other defensive back, somebody quickly, A, B, or C?
Oh, I think
almost
a B minus.
Did you say grading?
I like Moreland. I thought Moreland played well.
Well, yeah,
Apke was out of position a few times.
Plus.
But I talk about our safety who basically missed 2 tackles and on 1 touchdown just completely missed the receiver. I mean, I don't want to.
Don't name no names, Michael. Don't give
y'all sound like homers. I thought I was the only homer. Wait a minute. You're saying this was a B+ defensive backfield?
No, I didn't say that. I said C+.
We said Moreland was B+.
Oh, Moreland. Okay, individually.
No, he wasn't a B+.
As a unit, what was it as a unit? If I can ask.
No, they struggled.
We don't run out of alphabets. We don't.
I tell you what we'll do right now. We'll take a little break right now. When we come back, we'll finish this conversation. At the same time, remember, Milton, bleed burgundy. We'll be back in a minute.
Geico's been helping people save money for over 75 years. They've really stood the test of time, much like these majestic Rocky Mountains, which must be named after the Rocky.
That would be Rocky the Flying Squirrel, Mr. Gecko, sir. Obviously.
Come on, Bullwinkle. They're named after...
First President George Rockington.
That doesn't even make any sense, Mr. Winkle.
Geico, over 75 years of savings and service.
Well, welcome back. And as you know, on this show, we try to be lightweight analysts and everything else. So sometimes we have to go to the couch. Now, going to the couch, you have to take a patient that's willing to learn something. You have some patients that don't never want to learn something. So the battle today will be deciding between Donna Hopkins and myself, who calls them the game? Was it the offense or the defense? Donna Hopkins, I know what you're going to say right away, so bring it. But
Tony,
don't come weak now. I'm coming after you.
Tony, it was the team effort as far as the offense, defense, special teams really didn't get the ball that much, although they did have a fumble in there. But it was a combination of, again, the team started slow. Now, I thought I was impressed in the first quarter with the defense because they held them at some point. But the thing about it is offense didn't get moving, really didn't run the ball in the first half. And Brother Gary, since he's not here and I can talk about his receivers, is that I still think that they need more production there. Haskins, I think he's pressing a little bit because he's making the reads and he's doing all the other things, I think, to make him or develop as a good quarterback. But I think that he needs to just take a few more minutes to let the play develop because I think he's pressing a little bit.
Well,
I'm not
go
going
ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to leave your defense out because they did not do a good job either, Tony, because they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. And, of course, we know that Kyler Murray was going to be one of those elusive quarterbacks. But the Cardinals, they were relentless on both sides of the ball where the burgundy and gold were not.
Well, you know what? I take a look at the whole thing, and you're right. Both facets of the team did not play well, including all facets of the team didn't play great, and that's why they lost. But at the same time, you must be cognizant of the fact that our defense, the reason I say they didn't play well, they did better. They had 4 sacks, but for 2 weeks in a row, they've given up big leads early, and you can't continue to do that and hope that you win. Then when you take a look at the offense, I have a question. Why are you running the ball in the second half when you're behind? So when you take a look at this, I don't think neither one of them performed the way they should have. But at the same time, you can't blame it on either one separately. You blame it on the team.
But, Tony, you talk about why were they running the ball in the second half. They weren't really out of the game totally in the second half. Now, in the third quarter, they got back into the game. I mean, I would have probably kicked the extra points versus the 2-point conversions because, I mean, that puts them up a little bit more as far as in the fourth quarter. So I think that was the reason why they were trying to run the ball a little bit more because it was putting them in good field position. But I just think that they were off passing the ball. I don't know why Haskins starts slow in the first half, then he settles down, and then he produces in the second half. But they're not a team that can start off slow. They got to start off strong on all 3 phases of this team. When we talk about them being young, as Gary said, excuses. But the thing about it is they're young, but that being young doesn't mean that you start off slow 2 weeks in a row because – to be a young team, you got to get out there in front. And it could be some coaching right there, too, because Rivera said that he's taking this on his shoulders, too, and maybe they've got to call a better game.
Well, you know what, Donna, I have to take a break now because for once I halfway agree with you on a few of your objects. So the couch didn't work that well. So I tell you what, next time I bring you on the couch, though, you're going to have to come a little stronger. You just hit the points that are good now, but at the same time, these are the points that you've been hitting for the last 6 or 7 years. You got to tell me where these teams are going to improve. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about
no pleasing you, Tony, just like the team. No pleasing.
We'll go around the league a little bit. I tell you what, the Washington team is not the only one hurting here in the East. There's not many beasts in the East now. They must be in the West. We'll be back in a second.
We love our new home. There's so much space.
We have a guest room now.
But we have ants.
You're slouching again, Ted.
Expired. Expired. Expired.
Thanks, Aunt Bonnie.
It's a lot of house. I hope you can keep it clean.
At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
Which helps us save a lot of money.
Oh, Teddy, did you get my friend request?
I'll have to check.
Aunt Joni's here.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
And of course, Tony McGee played in the NFL for 13 years and had one of the greatest endurance records of any player in the NFL. So I always say, if you want to judge the greatest player in Wyoming football history, if you want to judge that by their tenure in the pros, how long their talents were valuable in the pros, Tony McGee would have to be the greatest player that ever played at Wyoming, by far. Nobody came close to being in the NFL for 13 years, ever.
And Phil White's another one. He kept this thing alive and documented everything for 50 years. I think he even left the Brandy and I in the newspaper after they put us off the team. And as individuals like that, when you asked about the state, I know they're not the only two in this state that's like that. But I also know it's more than two that's not like that. So I don't think it'd be a fair assessment for me to say, oh, this state has never done right, because that's what Lloyd Eaton did. He said, this is a bunch of black guys that's breaking the rules. We weren't his players then, we weren't anything. We were a bunch of black guys that broke his rules. But the rule hadn't even been set at that time. And then one thing I want to tell you with this whole interview, we were punished for something we never did. We never protested. He put us off the team. And the rule was supposed to be if we protested in the game. So we were punished for something we never did anyway. But you know what? Things come out and they work out. This did not have to happen, but it did. I'm happy it did, and I'm happy to be back affiliated with this school. You know, Mike, as you look at this is the famous place where a picture was taken. Hi, Saul, can you hold that picture so Mike can maybe zoom in on it? A lot of us weren't here when they took this picture, but what you have to understand, this is history that we're standing on now. And we're making history right now by coming back. Mike, when you look at this, you're looking at history. Guys, these are the famous steps, and many of these are the famous guys. And we thank you for watching us, because we'll be back. You know, the Black 14 means a lot for me. And if you remember last year, we started speaking about this and the incident. And this year we have an initiative that we're going out and we're trying to get computers and feed people and help with the pandemic when it's over. And I know they said a lot of great things in that piece, but that was something that happened 50 years ago. And what's really upsetting about it, a lot of that is still going on now. But it's going to take situations such as that to change this. And what we do right now is we did not let that define us, speaking of the Black 14, and we're going out and we want to have a t-shirt at the end of this year saying, Black 14, done. In other words, we've made that decision that doesn't count as much. So we're doing everything we can, that we are people now, that we're going out and try to help people. So if you guys want to help us with our initiative, you can see more of our initiatives. Just go to black14.net. It'll tell you about our t-shirts. It'll tell you about initiatives, where we're going. We'll be doing virtual speaking and everything. But watch this, and we'll have a little bit on each week. Watch a little bit of it because it is history. Now, going back to, we'll talk a little football now and getting back in, bringing the game back in. Donna, you know, I talked to you first because you was one of the first ones on the show to do an interview with me on the Black 14. And then I talked to Mike, who went out there with me and did about 20 hours of filming out there in Wyoming. So Donna first, just give me a little your thought on the Black 14.
You know, Tony, that's history in the making, because a lot of people didn't know what happened to the Black 14. And by doing that piece on you, it opened up our eyes to a lot of things, and a lot of things that even happening today in what's taking place. So that was educational for me. And I think that it was such a positive thing in you all talking about it even more so now, of sharing your stories. And it's hard to believe that, those things happen, but I take that dear,
Michael, you were out there with me, and you got to meet a lot of the guys, and you got to meet a lot of the individuals that were out there when this happened, and they were young individuals like us, and these are the individuals now that's apologizing to us for something they did not do.
Yeah. Tony, I put that right up there with some of the great things in my life. And
don't make me start crying here, Mike.
I've known you 37 years, Tony. You've always been on the cutting edge of everything. When you think about, we went out there last year, you're always ahead of everything. You think of everything before everybody else. And that's just not to laud praise on you, but it just seems ironic that you always think of promoting and doing things long before everybody else. But the one thing that always touched me was, we've known each other 37 years, and you held this inside. What does that say? It says, society just didn't allow you to have a one-on-one conversation with me about this until now. And that's really sad that our society has set you up like this. One thing I noticed with all the guys, they all felt like it was a scourge, that it was their fault. And that's just that's so wrong. And then all these years, and we finally get to talk about it one-on-one. And I feel so bad for all of you, and Teddy especially, and his father. I mean, if you haven't seen these shows, man, they're powerful.
Thank you. Well, guys, let's get back to a little football now. Let's look around the league a little bit, look at what teams are doing. Dallas, a team that I know a little bit about down here, just gave it to them, get a 20-point lead, and they let Dallas win. New York Giants is 0-2. Philadelphia is 0-2. What better time for the Washington team to be playing better?
Well, you look at the NFC East, Tony, exactly what you're saying right now. Take a look at the graphic. We're in first place. Everybody says we're in first place. Dallas, we are both 1-1. Dallas is coming from behind at 1-1. In addition to that, who would have thought Philadelphia would be 0-2 of all teams? And then the Giants, they got real problems because they lost Barkley. Donna's going to tell us about that later on. And they're 0-2. They may end up losing 14 games this season. So you're right. Can I talk about my Ravens?
Yeah, you might well.
Donna,
you've been waiting
Gary,
you've been waiting for this. Yes, go ahead, Mike. Talk about.
Yes,
well, you might as well talk about.
Why? We're seeing him 2 weeks, so let's talk about him, right? Jackson, 18 of 24, didn't go crazy throwing the ball, had 1 touchdown, but they had 8 receivers, Gary, that were in double figures. They had 402 net yards, 230 yards rushing. The receivers totaled 200 receiving yards. And talking about sacks, their front 7 had 4 sacks. Our front 4 had 1. Our front 7 had what, 3? So I'm just saying the Ravens are doing the right things. That's all I'm saying. Taking a look at the offense, taking a look at the defense and their special cadre of players. You can't ignore them 35 miles from Washington.
Hey, come on with it, G.
Receivers with 200 yards. 8 receivers and they 200 yards in passing. I had
that's not bad.
One game, Mike. Come on, man.
Receivers 10 yards or more.
One game with 200.
What'd you say, G?
On 4 catches. Come on.
They had 400 yards off, over 400 yards in offense.
Well, wait a minute, Mike. I gotta go with G on that. You act like that was so great.
16
out
of 24.
1 receiver with 124.
Oh my God.
If you look back at New England playing Baltimore in 1979 or 80, I had 4 sacks by myself.
There you go.
So don't tell me. I like the Ravens, but until they get that choke off of them that they did last year, they still just the Ravens. I know everybody thinks they're great right now, and I like them. But at the same time, it's only one champion out there. Yeah. And Milt, you want to name it?
Well,
I know. Wait a minute. Fans and co-hosts, all of you guys see how quiet Milton got when we started talking about another team?
Well, no, for sure. I was a little set back by the stats, like Gary was. He said, He only completed 16 passes. He threw for 400 yards, and 8 receivers had double-digit catches. I mean yards. That's amazing, I might say. Hey, listen, back to this Washington football team. Give this team a chance to get their feet under them. They're coming. Just you mark it down. I said it today. They are coming. Yeah.
Okay. Can we talk about Donna and what she knows about basketball since we're in the throes of the NBA playoffs?
Why are we going to talk about something she knows nothing about? Oh,
Because
I'm sorry,
she and I,
the right person, Tony.
Wait a minute.
Donna and I are the
haven't
only
seen-
two. We're the only two on this show that played college basketball, right?
Oh, I bet you me and Gary could take y'all right now.
Yeah.
Well, Gary can.
Wait a minute. Tony,
Gary
Tony,
can.
I could take them by myself. We wouldn't
I'm
need you.
not even worried about any of you all.
That sounds like a challenge.
I just have to feed Donna. I bring the ball down and feed Donna, feed Donna, feed Donna.
Talk to
But
me,
you
Mike.
know, yeah, we do need to talk about basketball because, you know, with everything that's going on right now, we need to talk about all sports because any sports is able to entertain and go out and put their lives in jeopardy to try to entertain. And people have been waiting for that. Yeah, we need to talk about all sports. So give me a little basketball, Donna.
Well, Tony, you know.
Oh, wait. I know you a Laker fan, and I know you want to say that they cheated our boy. He should be MVP, LeBron James.
Well, Tony, I'm not going to argue with you with that one because he is a Laker. What can I say about that? He should have been the MVP.
That's what
and
I'm saying.
The fact that, you know what, but they can have the MVP because we'll take the championship, the Lakers will.
Well, now don't get out. Yeah, I think they will, but they got some work to do.
I know a homer when I hear one. I know a homer when I hear one.
I'm a Laker fan. I believe purple and gold. No mistake about that.
Who won MVP?
MVP?
I knew G would go with it.
Well, who did win?
The Greek. And I'm gonna tell you what, he's no joke. He just can't shoot outside, but he can do everything else.
Out of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even want to try to say his name.
Yeah, we got too many letters in his name, but I know who you're talking about.
They're not even in the conversation because they're not in the finals.
And
so they are a disappointing team. But the thing about it, Tony, is everybody's looking at Dallas, who came back from 3 down on 2 teams to get into the playoffs. But then on the other east side, you know, you got, what is that, Boston? Milwaukee?
Boston and Milwaukee.
No, Boston, Miami.
Miami is.
Miami. But tell me this, which team do you think is the best? Now, Miami is riding on a high wave right now. They got a couple of players playing well, but Boston to me seems to have so many good players, but they're all the same height, about 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah.
I still think that you look at Miami, that team shouldn't have, most people wouldn't even think about them being in the finals. But the thing about it is, Tony, they play well, and you well know, and all of you know, is that it's the team that's playing hot going into the playoffs, and that's that Miami team. But you know, like we said, who cares about the East or those 2 teams? Because when you talk about purple and gold, that's all you need to know. Congratulations, wait a minute, Mike, on the WNBA with the Washington Mystics, you know, in the finals also. So hopefully they may end up pulling out 2 back-to-back championships.
Before we go to a break, I just wanted to catch you all up to date real quickly on 3 other teams. And I know you all probably want to dwell on the NBA, and I understand that, the WNBA. But my Nationals, real quickly, this will be the last time we probably can talk about them. But if you take a look, they found a couple of players kind of on the waiver wire, so to speak, Harrison and Holt, that have really contributed. But they found the second baseman. Is it the next Juan Soto? I don't know, but they found their second baseman of the future, a 20-year-old kid batting .293 in 100 at-bats, and he can field. 6'1", Luis Garcia. He came up, and he is really blossoming. Eric Fetty may be a starter next year. He's starting to emerge, and I love these 2 guys they sort of found. They were dwelling in the minor leagues, McGowan and Finnegan, and they're going to really contribute next year. And just real quickly, we talk about the Orioles, and I know that we don't really follow them that much, but if you take a look at the Orioles graphics, they are sort of in a rebuild mode for like the third time in the last 8 years. Look at the trades. Look at the young players that they've tried to obtain. And of course, they pretty much got rid of Hector Velasquez and Tommy Malone. And then finally, before we go, of course, the Caps fired Todd Reardon. And they admitted, believe it or not, they admitted that they made a mistake in not re-signing and paying Barry a couple of years ago, Barry Trotz. And Barry, and of course, the Islanders beat him in the first round this year. So I just wanted to catch you all up on some local news. That's all.
Well, Tony, as you look at this graphics, there's a lot of injuries that's mounting up across the NFL. The Giants lost their running back for the season with the ACL. The Denver Broncos lost the quarterback. And then you look at San Francisco, they lose 3 players, possible one for the season for sure. Their defensive lineman, Bolton, for the season, went down with the ACL. Got Carolina, lost one. Baltimore loses one. And, it's just a lot of injuries mounting up. But we talked about Sheriff, who was only going to be out 2 weeks. So you talked about the injuries that probably would take place this year because they didn't have training camps, and already that they've been hit hard looking at these guys right here.
I hate to say it, but I think we did kind of predict that was going to happen because of conditioning. And you know exactly what I mean. We used to hate training camp, but at the same time, we needed training camp. And that's what around the league, you're going to see a lot of that. And it may come out to which team is the healthiest at the end of the year. That may be what it come back. 2 minutes to go, guys. Let's get in this quick. Coming up with a team that this time last year, the year before last, we were last. This year, we better grit our teeth because the Browns is not a bad team. And they're very dangerous. And the one thing about it, they got receivers that will hurt us if we do not hurt them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really do. And Baker Mayfield, who I told Tony we should try to get a few years back, and he said, no way. But Baker may be coming on this year. And, of course, they got
Mike, he the weakest link. If we just had him to worry about.
He's just a flash.
Yeah.
He played great at Oklahoma or wherever he was.
Yeah.
I agree with Tony. No.
We wanted to take some time to acknowledge a couple of things, Tony, that I know you wanted to talk about, and that's the passing of one of the great Supreme Court justices of all time, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I love the quote at the bottom that she has actually said in the past about if you have a cause, make sure you get everybody on board. And I think that's what Tony's been trying to do over the years. We've all been trying to do. She was an icon. She was one in a lifetime. An amazing
That's right, and we honor her too.
Who fought for the rights of women. And there's so much mourning. She's going to be actually in the Capitol Dome. You'll be able to see her and pay her your last respects, and I plan on attending. And then, Tony, you wanted me to remind everybody to be sure to vote. This is a very important election, right?
No matter what you do, everybody, you need to vote. No matter who you want to vote for, vote, because that is your right. That's a right. A lot of people have died. A lot of people have died for. Take advantage of that right, and we need it now. Everybody vote.
Okay.
With that being said, we'll leave you with a thought of the great lady that Mike was just referring to. And just when you think about her, think about the good she's done. And each one of us, each and every day, we should try to do some good in our life and be better people, not just for the people around us, but people around the world. So one thing that has to happen, this pandemic has let us know we got to be together. We can't be apart. And like I say, we're not saying goodbye. We're saying in the minute.